Hello, welcome back to Our Bookshop in Tring. I'm Ben Moorhouse. So we're talking cookery in today's author interview, and I had the fortune to talk to Joy and Ron May from the NOSH Empire. NOSH for Students was the first book that came out several years ago. Since then, they've produced another 10 books in the series. Do hope you enjoy. They're a fascinating couple, and it was a wonderful interview.
Hello, Joy. Hello, Ron. How are you?
We're good, thank you.
We're good.
Hello, Ben. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. It's the first time I've had two people to interview, which is rather lovely.
Yeah.
Good. So I've got a pile of rather wonderful books here that you kindly sent through to me. NOSH. It's quite an empire you're building. Where did the idea come from originally?
Well, originally, the first book was NOSH for Students. And it started when our eldest, who went off to uni, and in his typical fashion as an eldest child, making his own way, not taking any advice from anybody, didn't learn to cook before he went. There was plenty of opportunity, but wouldn't learn to cook. And so after a couple of terms, living on milk, fortunately milk, but milk, Mars bars and the odd burger that he got free from his mate who worked at the burger shop, he didn't look too well. And so then the suggestion that, he might do some cooking. Well, how do you cook the stuff that I've eaten at home, Mum? And so I bought him a cookbook and he said, oh, that's no good. It's got no pictures in. I need to know what it's supposed to look like. And so I tried sending him little cards of what, making shepherd's pie and stuff like that. But that didn't work. No, he wanted pictures. So we decided, or kind of but I decided I'd write a little cookbook and see, even if it only worked for him and his mates. And so I produced this cookbook in our home. I mean, we still work in our home, but it's a bit more geared towards, this is the office up here. And I used an SLR camera, film camera. And so I'd make something, take some photos, and then eventually the photos would come back and I might have to do it again. So that's how it started. And eventually we got a book printed, much, much thinner than that one. And that's the 6th edition. However, now, I'm kind of jumping the gun a bit really, but now the boys are both in the business. It kind of happened quite gradually. The youngest went to uni and did a business degree and was very impressed by an entrepreneur who said to him, if your parents have got any kind of fledgling business, then go in it. And so he came in it, learned to do better photography than I was doing. And then eventually, Ben, the oldest, who that book was written for, he had done a design degree at uni, so he worked for a while, and then eventually he came into the business as well and started to design the book. So that's how it evolved. And Ron, helped with the publishing and stuff.
Yeah, Ron, what do you do?
Not a lot.
He does.
You've got the cooking, you've got the designing and the business, so that's brilliant.
Yeah, what do I do? Yeah. One of the things that I used to do in the previous life was purchasing and international purchasing, and particularly in the Far East. And so actually all of the books we get printed in China. Sales
and operations. That's what a wonderful story. Amazing. And the name NOSH for Students. I mean, was that the first name of the first book?
Yeah, they've always been NOSH. Yeah.
And where did that come from? What in terms of?
Well, I think it's a Jewish word for food.
Simple. Yeah, and I'm amazed. I mean, obviously, in a pretty saturated market, which is cookery books.
Yeah.
You've managed to forge your own identity and your own sort of spirit, and you've done it in a brilliant way. And I think that as a business, it strikes me, rather than going the whole mainstream, the whole almost in marketing terms, the B2C, the business to consumer direct, which is what a normal cookbooks would do. You're almost taking a kind of an alternative route, which is actually it's very unique. Was there a strategy to doing that? I mean,
absolutely.
No.
We often say that the reason we self-published, because all of these we do self-publish, was because we hate rejection. And you know, you see so many movies of people writers trying to enlist with publishing companies, and it's just such a grueling process of rejection that we thought we don't really want to go down that. And so we just did everything ourselves. And I mean, it did involve me. I remember one time phoning around, I think about 250 bookshops. Primarily, I was attacking Waterstones and Otticas at the time. And so I wanted to get into the headquarters, but the guy in headquarters, he said, well, he said, you need more presence in the bookshops before I can bring you on stream, you know, right across all of the shops. But he did very kindly give me all the names and addresses of the bookshops. And so we set about phoning up every single one and just briefly talking to them about the book, asking them if they'd heard of it, if they had it. And if they didn't, they were ordering it online at the time as we spoke. And we actually had a very good hit rate. And then after we'd done that, I think we got about 60% of the shops buying it, and then went back to the headquarters and said, look, you know, we've got to this position. Can you start to take us on as a corporate client? And so they agreed. And so we did that with everybody. It was step by step with Waterstones, with W.H. Smith, with Gardner's, with Bertram's, all these people, and Amazon, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon in those days, we started off with 2 books. They said, if you deliver 2 books, we'll see if they sell. And of course, that's where it went.
So at any point, did you have any discussions with publishers? Were there any publishers?
Yeah. We've tried actually to break into publishers a little bit, when we go to book fairs and things, but to be quite honest, they've got too many people knocking on their doors. And so we just leave them. Yeah. But we actually quite enjoy doing the things that we do. You know,
it gives us more freedom to do what we want to do, actually.
Mm.
So, for instance, yesterday we were talking about, we're in the middle of a book for NOSH for One at the moment, but we need to start researching for the next book. And so we were able as a team to just sit and discuss what we wanted to do next. And I was able to say, I didn't have somebody say, oh, you need to do a calorie book. So they suggested to me that I did a calorie book, and I said, I'm not doing that. Which if we've got publishers and they said that, I'd have to do it.
When you say a calorie book, do you mean something for people who are watching their weight?
A diet book. Yeah.
A diet book. Yeah. So I haven't got a diet book.
No,
we try to stay fairly healthy. So you probably haven't looked at the detail, but we try to not use a lot of sugar and stuff like that. Not in the student book. The student book is just, you can't expect students to
Which one shall I look at as a kind of example of that?
Sugar-free, gluten-free.
Sugar-free, gluten-free. Here we are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you've produced the NOSH for students. You found you've got your niche. What was the next one to produce after that? I mean, you've obviously got.
We followed that. We kind of followed the boys. We went from NOSH for students, vegetarian NOSH for students, and then we did NOSH for students 2, which is for people who can already cook. And then we went on to busy mums and dads. By that time, one of our boys was married with children. And so that's very self-indulgent book, the NOSH for mums and dads, because it's got all the grandchildren in it.
Amazing.
Almost.
So let's have a look at a typical sort of. In fact, there's a nice double spread, 2 dishes here, which we can look at. So you've obviously got 2 recipes, all the ingredients, the picture of what is it, red Thai curry paste. Rather interesting at the top, which is quite faint, but I can see it very clearly, is the total price for it. how easy it is, and what the prep time is.
Yeah.
Just very intuitive, isn't it? Very simple to use. And with, well, I mean, this is obviously very simple. This is literally a 2-step process. So I've chosen a good one.
You're all right, that one.
Yeah.
I gather you're not really a foodie.
I'm very good at eating it.
Okay, that's all right. That's
my stomach line shows that, but no, I'm not fearful in the kitchen. I'm happy to knock a few things up.
Yeah.
So.
It's quite interesting though, Ben, because there was a lot of things that started off when we were catering for the student population. So for instance, we decided we had to make it easy for them. And so all of our books from that day onwards, we try as much as possible to make every single step so clear, so simple, so easy. The other thing was that they didn't have any weighing scales typically in their digs. And so we decided to use mugs because we felt that everybody, just as you have, every student's got a mug. And so we use a 1/2 pint mug as one of our key measures. And we've done that right away through every book. Yeah. Another thing was that they wanted the meal to be cheap. And so we actually put the price that an average of Tesco and Sainsbury's would come to for that particular recipe. And we have continued to do that. So all 11 books, every single recipe has got a price against it, and it's the latest price when that book went to print. So there's a lot of things which forged us in those early days, if you like, which we've continued right away through the whole series.
I don't, we've got a plethora of cookbooks here, and I don't recall any that have quite that much detail.
No,
and you've nuanced it down to such a fine degree. Certainly the price, and then the price per person or something, I think I saw in another one, which that's very good. Can I just pick you up on the mug thing? So how big's a mug? Is that a set?
Half a pint.
Well, you'll see a picture in the front of all of them.
That's described, is it?
There's a picture of it. There it is. So it's a very, make sure it doesn't. So this is the actual mug.
If I use my mug, we might be in trouble.
You'd be in trouble if you used your mug.
You would have very healthy portions.
This is the actual size of it. This one is a very, very favoured mug. It's actually broken, but it's a bit quirky with this cat on the front. And so we stuck it back together so we can still keep taking the photograph.
It's always the same mug on it.
It's always the same mug.
How lovely is that? How lovely is that?
Aren't we sad?
What's it like working as a family? I mean, you could go from week to week not seeing anyone else in the outside world, potentially.
Oh yeah, right at the moment, of course, we don't see them too much, but it's really good. I mean, we get on well with the boys, and we all do our own thing. So Ben does the designing and most of the photography, and Tim does marketing. Ron does all the finances and telling us what to do, and I develop the recipes. And then we taste them together. We sample them together when the boys are at work, and they either tell me that's okay or no, you can't do that one. And so, sensitivity has to go out of the window because you want people to be realistic.
That sounds like the best. That sounds like the best job. That bit.
The tasting bit. Oh yeah.
You can get me around for that part.
Yeah. So they often say, especially if it's a good one, they say, "This is a great job."
No, but if it's a really good one, Ben, what we do is we say it's good, but, which means that something has got to be finely tuned, and we've got to have it again.
If I do anything with rubbed steak or something like that, which isn't very often, then it usually, requires that we do it again.
There's not many students eating rump steak.
I think there is one rump steak as a treat.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but most we don't.
No, and I noticed you this obviously made it incredibly simple. Is there somebody in the family who you have to test it on to do the actual cooking part, who is maybe not the best cook in the family, who if it works on Ron, it'll work on anyone?
So what we do all the time is we cook from the books, and so when we're not cooking a new recipe,
Yeah.
we're trying and testing the existing books, and so Ron cooks them. And then if it works with Ron cooking, that's all right.
Fantastic.
But inevitably, we find things that we need to change when we go through that process. You know, we find that we have made mistakes. Our worst mistake was in this NOSH for Students, might be NOSH for Students, one of the early books. We did a chocolate mousse, and we unfortunately spelt mousse M-O-O-S-E. The one with the horns.
Well,
yes.
indeed, yeah.
Yeah, and we've got proofreader, you know, so first of all I write it, then 3 of us check it, and the proofreader read it, and it was in, and I think nobody commented. I think they thought it was a joke. And so it was in this book for years. So, yeah.
But maybe that happens with every book, we don't know.
Well, it does.
Well, I think that's probably where, you know, a publisher, well, I mean, you can't say it wouldn't happen with a publisher, but I mean, I in the process of doing these interviews and talking with authors, I've spotted them. I have to say, I never say anything. I think it's, you know, it's really not really the right thing to do, but it's kind of weird. And have you got any kind of highlight moments? I mean, I suppose at the start of doing the first one, was there like a Eureka moment? This is it. We've got a career change here. The point in which Ron sort of packs in his whatever job you were doing.
He'd already done
that. He'd already done that. So,
yeah.
So I mean, was there definitely a moment where you thought, you know, we've got something here?
I think so. We've gone over to China. We lived part-time in China for about 10 years, and we were trying to do some import-export things. And eventually we met some guy who was an type of investor. What would you call it?
Venture capitalist.
Venture capitalist.
Yeah.
And he'd kind of advised lots of people, and he said to us, and he'd seen the books, and he said, my advice to you would be to just do one thing. Don't try doing several things. Do one thing. And I think when we started to do one thing, we saw it work much better than trying to do lots and lots of different things and not concentrate on one thing.
You're sort of, I mean, in what you're doing here, you're sort of layering the one thing, but you're definitely, I think, I mean, we had an email trail here about things, and you referred to it as focusing on, was it a niche or underrepresented genres, and which, and what do you mean by that?
I think what we saw it worked with the student books. So currently we've got three student books, and we have been the best-selling student cookbook in the UK for the last 16 years. And so we saw that something worked, and it worked when you focused on one thing and you did a good job on it, and as it were, ring-fenced it to try to keep the competition out. And so what we also then decided to do was pick on different genres and try to do a thorough job with that particular genre. So one of them the next big one that we picked on was gluten-free. Joy had lots of friends and people writing in saying, look, can't you do a gluten-free book? And then as Joy was doing it, she found out that she was gluten intolerant. And so it then became a necessity. And so we then developed, and we've got 4 gluten-free books in that pile that you've got there. Probably 4 was too many. I think 3 was probably the right number. But nevertheless, we've got the 4. And so after we did that, the next big genre we went into was more the plant-based, and so we've got a vegan book, we've got a vegetarian book, as well as the student vegetarian book as well. So we're just putting effort into a given area, and it's all to do with, for us, it's to do with focus, really. And all the time, and I'll say this on behalf of Joy, she's really good at getting into people's heads and trying to put herself into their position. and she's a very practical woman, so she just tries to practically make life easy for that particular person. And so she just goes from one group of people to another group. And the one that Joy's into right now is NOSH for One. And so there's about 8 million people in this country that eat alone. And so Joy's putting herself in their position to try to come up with the best solution.
Brilliant. No, I'm very, I'm sold. If I was a student now, well, actually, no, I don't have to be a student, do I? But the thing about the students and what you seem to have done very well is to actually get into the heads of the universities. And so actually doing the transactions direct with universities and stocking so that the books are all stocked in the halls of residence. That's a very impressive piece of salesmanship.
Well, we're beginning. That's a process. So we're beginning to get them into the kitchens, particularly of freshers. Yeah, and that's an ongoing one, and so that's we're enjoying that one.
There's a lot of, I mean, there are clearly a lot of universities. I mean, clearly there's challenges set out with where we are with the whole coronavirus, the lockdown. And what that's going to look like in September for students, whether or not
we don't know.
There will be halls, so there's clearly a challenge ahead for you. Is there a way of morphing your business plan to suit that?
I think, I think as with everybody, I think we're all thinking on the hoof really, because it's new. We've never come this way before. I suppose in my mind, people will still want to eat together. They'll keep themselves in bubbles together. One thing is that they probably won't be going out to cafeterias so much and things like that. So there is I think an opportunity for people to be eating good healthy food if they do have a student kitchen with people in it that they feel comfortable around. I think it's still won't stop the trend towards Just Eat and Uber deliveries and all that type of thing. So that's always going to be there. But I think what we're trying to do is to help students to be healthy, and so hopefully it works.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, keep in mind this interview will be online for in perpetuity, I suspect. But so come September, October, it may be a very different world. So I think everyone's pushing for things to open up as much as possible. So
eventually it will work out. Eventually the virus will be, extinct.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I think we'll just learn to live with it more than anything else. But I think we need to have a cure for it, frankly. So that's an aside. But until then, there's going to have to be ways of working it. Keep in mind, my other side of my world is live events, theatre events. I mean, there's no chance that's going to happen. Cameron McIntosh quoted not till spring next year. So I mean, that's a big.
And the bookshops too. I think you're doing amazingly. Apparently you're posting books.
No, delivering on his bicycle.
We just need to be something relevant to everyone. We need to offer whatever's suitable to them. So in the first month or so, and still now, there's a lot of people locked down, but particularly early doors. So we had to do a lot of delivery. And that remains to a degree, although, and I've literally been getting on my bonnet if necessary. And, this week, it's maybe only 1 or 2 deliveries a day rather than 20 to 30 in April and May, So
I think one thing which is changing right now is the way people buy food. So people are moving away from the old habit of just popping to the corner shop just to grab a few things and make a single meal and so on, because they don't want to go to the corner shop because, of course, they don't know who they're going to meet there, and they've got to put masks on and all that type of thing. So one product that we've developed is we've developed an app called the NOSH app. and which is on Google and it's on Apple. And so it allows people in seconds basically to create a menu for the next period, and then at the press of a button, a shopping list. And so with that shopping list, they can do a big shop, or they can do a next 3 days type of shop, but it literally is taking them seconds as opposed to an arduous process. And so we're just trying to work together with a new trend. And in fact, we've got a new hashtag, and it's called #BringBack the big shopping trolley.
Okay.
Because you might remember the days when we used to go around supermarkets with big shopping trolleys, and we don't do that so much, but now it's happening a bit.
I mean, obviously, supermarkets have had to morph their kind of business process because I remember the days of big shopping trolleys, and so the whole Tesco, whatever the biggest version was called, I don't know, has turned into more of an express version. So actually, the one we've got in Tring is a sort of, what would you term, a medium-sized one, which I think is probably about right in the kind of business, the business mechanisms, and actually the Tesco in Tring has had a lot of compliments just because of the way it's been managed and run. It's done very well. Yeah, but good. Well, I think we've reached our half hour. I have to say that just actually flew. I think, Joe, were there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I think you've done everything. Thank you.
Your interviewing was excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. And your question answering was beautiful. But, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this pile of books. We're going to obviously have your NOSH books all stocked in the shop, and we'll keep ordering.
Thank you.
Great. We look forward to that.
Yeah.
Thanks ever so much. See you soon.
Lovely to meet you. Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Massive thanks to Ron and Joy for that wonderful interview. All the NOSH books are available in our bookshop. Give us a call on 01442 827 653. All the other purchase blurb is available in the text below the video. So thank you so much. We've got so many more interviews to come. We're planning them all the time. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you very soon.